When trying to repair a relationship and trying to show your partner or your ex-partner that a relationship can be different, it requires a lot of self-growth. The problem comes where, as you're growing, you want to tell your partner about this growth. Unfortunately, this can lead to even more pushback to your partner. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to show your partner you've changed without words. And I want to break down the evidence that they're actually looking for that will show your partner that the future relationship with you will be completely different. So if you've been through a breakup or you're trying to repair your relationship and you've taken those first steps to start changing how you approach things, how you do things in order to take your relationship forward and move it to the next level, what you may have found is that it can be difficult to try to talk about your changes, to try to get your partner to see your changes. Oftentimes, people can feel like there is a pushback against any changes that they've made. You want to talk about how you've changed, you want to show how you've changed, but it can be difficult to know the best way about it. After all, when you're putting in all the work, it can feel a little bit frustrating if your partner just isn't seeing it, or at least seems like they're not seeing it. So I want to do something today that breaks down where most people stumble and what type of evidence your partner needs to see in order to be able to buy in a new version of the relationship. And it's not what a lot of people think. So there's 4 different types of evidence that your partner is looking for when they're looking to see that you have changed and therefore the relationship dynamic will change. The very first is lack of supporting evidence. So this is old bad habits gone. So this is where most people stop. Most people make changes, but it's just simply getting rid of a lot of the old bad habits. But there's actually a lot more in order to repair a relationship. The next piece of evidence is replacement evidence. So this is new good habits in place of the old bad habits. But then there needs to also be new counter evidence. So counter evidence against their current perspective of the relationship. So this is brand new areas of growth. And then there needs to be durability evidence. So this is changes that stick under stress and time. So these are the 4 main pieces of evidence that your partner is going to be looking for in order to feel like they can fully buy into the new version of you and the new version of the relationship moving forward. So let's talk about the very first one, which is the lack of supporting evidence. This is where most people kind of stop. So yes, this is the foundation. This is important. This has to happen. But this is still a foundational phase of rebuilding the trust with your partner. Before your partner or your ex-partner can look at how much you've grown, they need to see absolute proof that the behaviors, the actions that you've taken that had a massive impact on the relationship have stopped. There needs to be a lack of supporting evidence. If you think about this, don't think about this as a trial, but if you imagine a legal trial, there needs to be a distinct lack of supporting evidence to the opposition, right? There needs to be an empty space there to show that these behaviors are not continuing. So this is essentially stopping the bleeding. So the primary goal is to make sure that the old triggers are no longer being fed. So if you think about your partner and their nervous system, initially, after a breakup, when they think about a relationship with you, there's going to be triggers there that they're worried are still going to happen. So it's important to make sure that these old triggers are no longer there. So this is the very first step. It's about what doesn't happen, the absence of those old actions. And again, this is where most people stop. They say, well, I'm not raising my voice anymore. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not pushing back anymore. But this is only ever the foundation. But what this does is this lowers their hypervigilance. So during a tough time in a relationship or a breakup, your partner's brain is going to be on high alert for red flags. Those red flags are the behaviors that have had a massive impact on the relationship. So there needs to be a complete absence of the old behavior. This allows their nervous system to finally relax around you, to finally go, okay, I can feel safe, I can feel settled. This is the foundation of the emotional environment. And what we talk a lot about on this channel is building this emotional environment. And this is the kind of bottom floor, the entry floor for it. And this starts to remove the expectancy bias. So your partner is actually going to have expectations of your behavior. So they're going to be expecting you to do the old behaviors. If those behaviors are remotely there, it triggers their expectancy bias. They'll have their own confirmation bias that's going to be like, see, they haven't changed at all. Even if you are 99% changed, if there's a slip up, it's going to trigger that expectancy bias, and they're going to see this as strong evidence that there has been no change at all. And this is really important to understand. So there needs to be a lack of supporting evidence. But there also needs to be replacement evidence. new actions replacing those old actions. So it's not enough to simply stop doing those things that impacted the relationship. You have to fill that void with the exact opposite positive traits. So if you were doing something that was ineffective or having a negative impact on the relationship, you have to have replacements for that. Simply the absence of something is not going to rebuild back trust. Simply not seeing those behaviors is not going to allow your partner to buy into a new version of the relationship. They need to see replacement behaviors that will take over instead of those original behaviors. So when a situation happens that has triggered a fight, you intentionally execute a healthy alternative. Instead of pulling away, withdrawing during a disagreement, you lean in. You lean into criticism, you lean into difficult discussions. This needs to be replacement behaviors instead of just an absence of the old ones. And these actions need to be specific. These new behaviors need to target the exact pain points that your ex or your partner has voiced during the relationship or the breakup. If they felt unappreciated, replacement evidence looks like specific verbalized gratitude. So this is not just, oh, I'm not criticizing her anymore or him anymore. This is about actively replacing that behavior with finding things that I am grateful for and verbalizing them, as an example. There needs to be specific replacement actions. This builds this replacement evidence, which shows your partner through actions that things can be different in a new version of the relationship with you. This also involves visible root cause processing. Ultimately, you finding the root cause of what caused the impactful negative behaviors in the first place. So for example, if you realize that you raised your voice, being able to understand the root cause of why you raised your voice, for example, you felt angry, that is processing the root cause of the behavior. And this needs to be visible to your partner. So letting them see the work behind the change. So sharing your thought process. So for example, normally I would have pushed back against that, but I've realized that I've been pretty close-minded when it comes to other people's opinions. This shows that you've got to the root cause of the original behavior and allows you to be very specific about what is going to change moving forward. But just to be very clear on this needs to come from a place of humility, not showing off. So this is not a constant bragging about, oh, well, I used to be like this and now I'm like this. This is not a place to show off. This is not a place to make promises or oversell yourself. This is simply from a place of humility. We always need to be a work in progress. So being in a place of humility is being able to understand that you are not perfect, but you're still digging in and putting in the work to the root cause of the original issues. So this is all building replacement evidence, not leaving the changes as just an absence of evidence, if that makes sense. But then there needs to be new counter evidence. And this is a really important step. So this is growth outside of your old behaviors. And this is what is going to solidify the new version of you. So this is evidence of holistic, self-directed personal evolution. This is all about you being proactively seeking growth. This is about making positive changes that have nothing to do with the relationship's history, but this proves that your growth is genuine and intrinsic. You're doing it for the sake of growth rather than just trying to get your ex back or trying to save your marriage. This is one of the steps that a lot of people out there miss out when it comes to advice for repairing your relationship, saving your marriage, or getting your ex back. A lot of people miss out this step because everything is focused on getting your ex back. It becomes very ingenuine because you're already doing it for one goal. Before I jump into this is something that I work on with members, is understanding how growth impacts your relationship and your relationship repair, but it impacts you as an individual, and raising those standards and pursuing growth for you as an individual needs to be a lifestyle change. And this is what is going to have an impact on your relationship and on the relationship repair. Obviously, there's only so much I can go into here. You want to start that journey? You want to join us? Start learning the fundamentals of relationships and how to start turning them around from a place of self-growth? Then join my relationship bootcamp. This is where all of my members start to start turning their relationships around and reconciling their relationships from the ground up. All you have to do is click on the link in the description if you want to grab your spot. So what is this new counter evidence? This needs to be independent from the breakup, from the separation, from the divorce, whatever it is. Growing, building evidence that you are leveling up your life for you, not just performing to win them back. If they think that you're only changing to manipulate them or to coerce them into returning into the relationship, this evidence disproves all of that. So if they're worried that you are just making changes just for them, this provides counter evidence to that worry because this is independent from the relationship. And what this includes is creating new identity markers. So the new identity for yourself is growth for growth's sake. As an example, picking up healthy routines, therapy, getting a mentor, coaching, transforming your health, fixing your financial habits, finding new constructive hobbies, pursuing a new career, etc. All of these are new identity markers for the new version of you. Even if they feel worried that these changes are just for them, there is now new counter evidence that is independent of the relationship and getting them back. And this is really, really important. This is very strong counter evidence to their worries and helps to undo this expectancy bias that your partner is experiencing right now. It shows the difference between proactive and reactive action. This still has massive implications for the relationship. If you are being proactive in your self-growth and you're doing this for the sake that this is important, think about the implied impact that it has on the relationship. That you're now switching away from reacting, which is reacting to a breakup, reacting to divorce papers. This is now you turning into a proactive version of you. This rebuilds attraction. This is a very attractive trait to have. And it shows to your partner that the new version of the relationship is going to be radically different in a good way. So you're not just doing the right thing because you got caught or you were prompted or you got divorce papers or you got asked about separation. You're doing this completely on your own, proving that you're anticipating your needs and, again, the potential needs of the future relationship. This has a massive impact on how your partner or your ex-partner will see a potential relationship with you. Having this proactive version of you is going to build a lot of new counter evidence towards the new version of the relationship. This means you outgrow the past. So this turns you from someone who's just trying really hard into a completely different person who is outgrowing their old self. This is outgrowing the ineffective habits that were told to you, but you're actively searching for more points of growth for yourself. This has a massive impact of your partner's perspective of the relationship and you and your journey. This cultivates a newfound respect and curiosity from your partner because they want to see where this new version of you is going to head. Most of all, there needs to be evidence of durability. This is growth under time and stress. When your partner has broken up with you or wanted space, or even if you've broken up with them and you change your mind, you're wanting to repair the relationship in a different way, this is the ultimate test for the new version of the relationship. Anyone can behave perfectly for a few weeks, especially when a breakup's happened. If you think about your partner who has gone through the decision of breaking up with you or wanting to have space or a break or a separation, if you think about in the past how they've tried to tell you in subtle ways that they want a different dynamic, they finally built up the courage to say, look, this cannot be the same anymore. And then they go online and they see get your ex back in 7 days, get your ex back in 30 days stuff popping up in their feed. And they see that there's a lot of scripts, mind games and tactics, short-term changes to try to win them back. This builds on their expectancy bias. They suddenly start to go, oh, well, the last thing that I want is to be tricked back into a relationship that is exactly the same. Anyone can behave perfectly for a little bit because of a breakup or because of desperation. But there needs to be durability evidence that proves that these changes are permanent and a long-term shift in your character and the way that you approach the world. So this is about surviving the expiration date. Most fake or forced behavior, willpower, kind of wears off within a couple of months. Building durability evidence is only established when your new patterns, the new version of you, crosses into months and beyond that. This proves that you're doing this because it's a lifestyle, not just because you want your ex back. So this shows that the new version of you is not some temporary change. This is something that is going to be continually growing. It becomes a stress test. So real change is proven when things get tough. But the question then becomes, how do you act when you are exhausted, when you're sick, when you're stressed, or when your partner is being difficult and distant? This is the core of expectancy bias. Oftentimes during the repair period, your partner starts to push back more because they need to see this durability evidence. If your new behaviors, your new actions hold up under pressure, then this confirms to them that these changes are durable. These changes are lifestyle changes. This is not just some temporary faking it. this becomes your subconscious default. So these new behaviors are no longer just built on willpower alone. It shows that they have become your automatic, your subconscious default settings. And this is where weathering the storm of their internal doubt is going to be crucial. During this time, during the repair process, your partner or your ex-partner needs to reject you, needs to push back in order for them to see that this is a lifestyle and this is a permanent change within you. I've actually done a deeper dive video on this, which I'll link to on the screen and in the description down below. But your partner needs to be able to reject you and remove any hope of reconciliation in order for them to see that your changes are real. So when your partner or your ex tests these changes, whether it's deliberately or subconsciously, by bringing up old hurts, pushing back on you, being skeptical, if you don't crack and your consistency is clear, this durability evidence is built, and this proves that the new you is here to stay. So this is the most important point in relationship repair. So like I said, I'm not going to dig into it here. I'll leave you with that deeper dive video, and I'll see you over there.